Today on Dylan Talks Tone, we're going to talk about troubleshooting your guitar when you have a problem. What's going on? My name is Dylan. This is Dylan Talks Tone. We're talking guitar nerd stuff. Today we're going to talk about troubleshooting. You know, when you pick up your guitar and all of a sudden one of your pickups doesn't work. Something's wrong. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to troubleshoot this thing and all I want to do is play, and your neck pickup doesn't work or the volume pot's screwed up. We're going to go through step by step how you would troubleshoot this. We're going to use the tools, the proper tools, and we're going to do it. Before we get started, there's a couple things. One, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. I kind of have this goal of hitting 100,000 subscribers in 2021, so help me out. That'd be awesome. Also, the other thing is our live show that we have on Thursdays is a new podcast. There's going to be a link in all of the videos now where you can actually go and listen to that live show. Right now it's on Spotify, it's on Google, it's on Anchor. I'm working on Apple. It's not there yet as of the day of making this video, but I just want to tell you about that. Okay, so troubleshooting. There's a couple things that we're going to need for our troubleshooting endeavors. We've got our guitar. I'm using a loaded pickguard that I built for a customer as a test so that you can see all the guts. Now, the first round of testing with this is not going to require you to disassemble your guitar, and we're going to talk about how to do that in a minute. The other thing you're going to need is a digital multimeter. This is a Fluke 115, costs about 150 bucks or so. I'm going to leave a link in the description of this video to a more economical one. It'll probably be $30-$40 or something at the time of making this video. You can click the link below for latest pricing, but it'll be good. It'll be enough, and it'll be functional, and it'll be accurate enough to do basic testing on your guitar and at least keep you going and at least be able to accurately know what the problem is with the guitar. Okay, so that'll be down there. And the other thing we need is a good guitar cable, and we're going to talk about what a good guitar cable means in just a minute. So let's get to troubleshooting our guitar. First things first, we could plug our guitar in. We've probably already done this, but first things first, we could plug our guitar in and turn all of our knobs up to 10, okay? Before we test anything, we want to make sure that all of our knobs are turned to 10. Then what we're going to do is we're going to tap on the magnets with the end of an extra guitar cable or a screwdriver, something that's magnetic though. It's got to be like a ferrous metal, okay? And then we're going to tap on it, and like the neck one is going to make a lot of noise, and then the middle one won't, and the bridge one won't here. Then flip it, and then these two, go through what you expect to work. And if you're not sure what your switching does on your guitar, you might want to Google your model of guitar and make sure you understand what's supposed to happen, because if you have a coil split switch or something, it could be introducing a problem and you're like, oh, I guess it's supposed to do that. You know what I mean? So make sure that you know the functions of your guitar. So before you do that. Now, we've probably already done that, and we already know that our neck pickup or our bridge pickup or whatever is not working. Okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a good guitar cable. Now, when we define a good guitar cable, what we mean by good guitar cable is we want to check the guitar cable to make sure that it's good. Make sure that we don't try to solve a problem that's not even our guitar. So, first things first, we're going to check our guitar cable. We're going to take our meter and we're going to put it on the ohms. This is the resistance section of our meter. It looks like a little Mary Tyler Moore hair looking thing. And we're going to go like this. And we're going to put one tip on the sleeve of the meter of the cable. And we're going to take the other one and put it on the tip. See how it says open? OL means on this meter means open, which means that you don't have an internal short on the cable. There's no wire touching where it's not supposed to. You don't have the cable's not broken. Okay, so that's good. We want that to be open. We don't want the tip and the sleeve to be connected at all. What we do want is we want both tips to be connected. So let's see if the tips are connected. 0.2. Okay, so we have 0.2 ohms, which is like 0 ohms, which means there's a short, which means that the tip and the tip of this cable are connected directly. Very good. We want that, right? We want our cable to be good from end to end. So then we go from sleeve to sleeve, and we have 0.1. Okay, good. We have a good cable. We have no internal shorts on the cable, and we know that the continuity of the cable is good. So we have a good cable. You could actually use like a pedal board patch cable for this. It might be a little bit easier. What we're going to do then is we're going to plug the guitar in. No amp or nothing, just the cable. And what this does is having a cable hooked up to it gives us access to the innards of the guitar, right? So now we can test the resistances and various things of the innards of the guitar. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go one by one through our pickup selections again, but we're going to put one probe on the tip and one probe on the sleeve. All of our knobs at 10. Neck position, 5.9 ohms, K ohm, 5.9 K. That's good. That's basically what my neck pickup resistance should be. Now, when you do these tests, you're going to have a bunch of other components like pots and the cap, and the whole rest of the circuit is going to be in with this because we're doing it at the end of a cable. So it's not going to be exactly the published values of your pickups, but it will be kind of close, and you'll at least know if it's functioning. So let's go through this guitar and look at what good pickups are first, and then we'll talk about how we go to the next step. All right, 5.9 neck. Now, middle positions are a little weird. Middle positions, they're typically in parallel, which means that you basically, and there's other ways to figure this, but long and the short of it is, it's going to be about half of the two pickups, half of the lowest value of one of the pickups. So let's say this is 5.9K and this is 6K, something, whatever. This is going to be like 3.5 or something when they're together, when they're in parallel. Should be. Okay, 2.9. So about 3K. So we've got 6K pickups. It's going to be about half of the lowest value. So if you see that and it's 2.9K, that means that those pickups are not bad. It means that they are in parallel. If they were in series, then it would be addition. It would be adding them together. If you had a wiring in your guitar where these were series, like a humbucker, then you would have like 11K, because it would be both of the coils mixed together, like added up. Pickups in parallel, half of the lowest value of one of the pickups. Series, add them both together, so twice as much, okay? So anyway, in that situation, we have 2.9. That's pretty good. In the middle, we have 5.8. Okay, so they're about the same. In the next position, we have 3.6. So we have these two together in parallel. Makes sense. Okay. Now this one's a humbucker, so this should be somewhere around 10. 9.6. Okay. This also has a coil split on it, so if we pull up the coil split, we should have about, this is a center punch, so it should be somewhere around 5-ish. Almost 6, yeah. 5.6. Okay. So, yeah. We're pretty close. So everything works. So we know that we don't have an issue. What if we're flipping through here and one of these, let's say we put it in the neck position and I'm going to simulate a short. Okay, so we're going to use the volume pot to simulate a short. What if we put it in the neck position, all the other pickups check good, but we have 5 ohms on the neck pickup? Oh man, now we have a problem. So the next thing we need to do, at this point, the guitar needs to come apart, okay? So again, turn all your knobs to 10 and get the pick guard out of the guitar. And then the next thing we're gonna do is we're going to check and see if the actual pickup is good, and we're gonna check it at the pickup, okay? So we're gonna check this neck pickup at the pickup. 5.93, okay. Okay, now that we've basically covered how to check our individual pickups to make sure that they're good, let's talk about some common issues in your guitar that happen. Pickups don't typically go bad. When you take the pickguard out and you check the pickup right here, you'll know right away whether that pickup is good or not. Okay, so that's very easy to check. If for some reason that pickup still does not work, even though we have all the other positions working. So if the pickup tests good, but in that position it doesn't work, then what determines your position? The switch. That means you have a switch problem. That is your number one failure point, I believe, on most guitars, especially imports with those little cheap box switches. Okay, they can go bad because they're a printed circuit board and they wear out. So if you have a non-functional pickup, but you check the resistance at the pickup, that pickup does not work, 9 times out of 10 it's the switch. Next most common is going to be all the pickups sketching in and out and not really working very well. That's going to be a failure of your volume pot, which is your other most used item, right? And it's a friction item, like that's how it works, is through friction. So over time, it's gonna go bad. Now you could use some deoxit to try to clean it, but if you're gonna take it apart to do that, just replace the pot. It's $5. That's what I would do. That will be your next failure point. How do you know it's the volume pot? If you've checked all of your individual pickups and they are all good, but you are having issues across all pickups where it's kind of sketching in and out, or you're having some scratchy stuff, usually you can kind of tell ahead of time when a volume pot goes bad, because it'll scratch and it'll make all kinds of noises. The next failure point: what if your tone pot doesn't work? There are typically 2 reasons why a tone pot doesn't work. If a tone pot doesn't work at all, it's completely not working. Number 1, the capacitor usually never fails. I've never, ever one time ever seen a failed capacitor in a contemporary guitar. In like really old stuff, paper and oil, sometimes okay, maybe. But, because I have seen that. But, if we're talking about pretty modern guitar, the capacitor's never going to go bad. The failure point in the tone circuit is if the pot is grounded. The tone pot needs to be grounded for it to work. So that means there needs to be some kind of wire that connects the tone pot to the central ground on the guitar. If that comes loose for some reason, or if you replace it and you forgot to ground it, like for example, on a Strat, it has this foil stuff on the back a lot of times, but that's not a good enough ground. So you'll put a new one in, but the pick guard doesn't like have a nice ground shield to it, so sometimes the tone pot doesn't work. The other reason would be the failure of the pot itself. Typically, this can be found by the scratchiness, by the noise, by it cutting in and out, and usually you know ahead of time. It doesn't just happen, right? So, failure of the tone pot. Then, the next thing is probably going to be failure of the output jack. And the only real way to check this, more or less, is to take it out. And to look, first of all, make sure that the solder joints are good. And then also make sure that when you pop it in and out, that it clicks in nice, right? And some of the import ones, it begins to fatigue right here at this bend point, and at that bend point then it won't grip as well, and it'll fail. Okay. The other thing too is this is a ground, so this is where all the grounds in the guitar terminate at this jack. So if this jack is bad, you could have grounding issues throughout the guitar, because contrary to what a lot of people think, You do not have multiple points of grounding in the guitar. All grounds in a passive guitar, not active, but in a passive guitar, terminate at this ground right here on this cable, and then they're grounded with the amp. So if for some reason this cable does not plug securely into here, you could have other issues all throughout the guitar, crackling and whatever. So make sure your output jack is good. All right, so common failure points: pickups, switch, volume pot, tone pot, output jack. I would go in that order. First of all, plug in the guitar, turn all the knobs to 10, and make sure that you have the proper resistances all the way across your pickups. If you do not, take the guitar apart, check at the pickup individually. Make sure that the coils are good. 90% of the time they will be. If you still have a situation with one pickup, then it will be the switch. If you have a situation with multiple pickups, typically it will be the volume pot. But you'll know that ahead of time because of the scratchiness. If your tone pot doesn't work, check your ground to the tone pot and check and see if the tone pot's actually good or bad or making scratchy noises. Next, make sure that your output jack is good as well. That is the basic rundown. And all guitars, whether it's a Les Paul, a Strat, a Tele, any of that stuff, is going to have pretty much the same approach to going through it. If you have one component that is not working and you've checked all this stuff, then the next thing you're going to want to do, this is another thing I would do actually. Here's another little check for all of this, is I would make sure that every component in the guitar is grounded to the output jack. So I would come in here to the sleeve of the output jack and I would say, okay, this pickup is grounded. This pickup, actually that's flipped because it's reverse wound. That pickup is grounded. The case of the humbucker is grounded. Which means the other wire is grounded. The volume pot is grounded. The tone pot is grounded. The other tone pot is grounded. Everything is hooked to a ground. If you have any other questions on it, we could dive more deeply into each component of this, but I think that gives you a fairly good idea. And like I said, every guitar, most every guitar, passive guitar, is going to be pretty much exactly the same thing. You know, if it's a P bass and it only has one pickup, or an Esquire and it only has one pickup, then you have less things to check, but it's the same thing. Start with the functioning of the switch, make sure it all works, then go to the pickup, and go to the volume pot, go to the tone pot, go to the output jack. That's what I would do. And if you have a problem along the way, you'll know. Thanks for hanging out. This has been fun. Make sure you check out our live show on Thursday. Make sure you check out our other video on Friday. Got a kind of a fun one this coming Friday, so that's cool. And yeah, thanks for hanging out, and I guess we will see you Thursday.